Okay, welcome back. I'm going to continue talking about dimensional analysis, just trying to break this up into subtopics here. So a lot of times, in fact most of the time, dimensional analysis will require more than one step. So we'll talk about right now unit conversions with more than one step. So here's some data we might need. So here's how we handle this. How many inches are in 3.67 miles? Well, what we do is I'm going to write down 3.67 miles. By the way, always when you're trying to, so later on we're going to see some more complex story problems, and the numbers will all be kind of jumbled in there. We'll see some practice in class, and I think I have some in my lecture notes, but definitely in class. You want to, anything that's a conversion factor, you don't want to start writing with. You just want to start writing with your just measured value, right? Your conversion factor should be used as conversion factors in parentheses. So start with your measured value, whatever that is. And sometimes, I think that's the trickiest thing to recognize, that this is a measured value. So how many inches are in 3.67 miles? Well, I don't have a conversion factor directly from miles to inches. So right, I can't go right. I can write miles and inches, but I don't know what that relationship is. So I need to kind of take it one step at a time. I do have my relationship between miles and feet, right? So that's going to be 5,280 to 1, right? But I can then immediately, because of the nature of multiplication, I can immediately do another step over here, and I can go feet to inches, right? And I can then do 1 foot is 12 inches and just cancel out feet like that. So now when I actually process the calculation, I'm just going to slam into my calculator 3.67 times 5,280 times 12. I'm just going to put it all in one step. Now my calculator spits out 3225331.2. How many significant figures should I have? Hopefully you said 3, and this is inches, by the way. I should have 3 because of here. This is exact and this is exact because they're both English to English. So scientific notation is the easiest way to handle this. So I'm going to move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 significant figures is 2.33 times 10 to the 5th inches. And I'm kind of running out of room here. Inches. So I would actually write it as 2.33 times 10 to the 5th inches. Everybody see why I rounded the 3 up because of the 5 here? Okay. Cool. I should point out, sometimes there's this there's a panic that ensues in students, and they think they get panicked because they can't see how to get from one end of the conversion to the other. And I want you to know there's not one right or wrong way to do it. A lot of times we have limitations on what conversion factors we have, but basically what you want to do is just make one step at a time. Just think about each step individually, and eventually you work your way there. So it's okay if you don't see how you're going to get all the way there right from the beginning, right? It's okay, just start doing something, okay? So, how many inches are in 3? No, I did this already. Wow. Oh, right. So here's something I wanted to show you. That this way is going to be a lot less efficient, but I'm going to get the same answer when I do it this way. So here's some other conversion factors I have. So I have 3.67 miles. Instead of going from miles to feet and feet to inches, I can go from miles to kilometers, right? 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. So hopefully you guys are following why I'm putting the miles on the bottom, so it cancels. And then kilometers, I'm going to go kilometers to meters, 1, 10 to the 3, right? 1 goes in front of the prefix, 10 to the 3rd, because that's what kilometers means. Now I'm going to go meters to centimeters, -2. Now, I put these up here just to help you, but these will not be given to you. These two, I'd expect you to be able to write these two conversion factors on your own. And then finally, I'm just going to write down here, I'm going to continue. Imagine that this is actually over here. Meters cancels. I need centimeters to inches, and 2.540. So when I do the calculation, I do 3.67 times 1.609 times 10 to the 3rd divided by 10 to the -2 divided by 2.54. So when I punch in my calculator, every time I hit something in the numerator, I literally just multiply by that thing, and then I hit enter. I get a subtotal after each one. So I literally on my calculator typed in 3.67 times 1.609. Enter. Then I took that answer, because my calculator does that automatically, times 10 to the 10 caret 3. Enter. Divided by 10 caret negative 2, enter, divided by 2.540. So every time I hit something in the denominator, I divide. You don't have to hit enter after every single one. Your calculator will do that for you. I just like doing it because it helps remind me that that is actually what my calculator is doing. And I get 232,481.5. You may notice that this is a little different. And that's because our conversion factors, before we used only exact conversion factors, and now we're swapping over to metric and back. So this really isn't as good a way, but it still works. And we only get a slightly different answer. And this is still okay. I want you to know that this is well within my tolerance for answers. So this is fine. Hopefully that makes sense. So I want you to see that you can do it more than one way. There's not just one way to do all of these. It depends on what unit conversions you have available. Okay, well, I need to erase this. Okay, so when it comes to, and you may have noticed me do this in this last problem, when you need to convert from one metric unit with a prefix to another metric unit with a prefix, you really want to use two steps. So let's say I have 486 centimeters, and I want to know how many micrometers that is, right? Well, I could supposedly go centimeters, micrometers, but here's the problem. I don't know how many micrometers are in a centimeter and how many centimeters in a micrometer. That's not something I just happen to know. All of those values, the meanings of the metric prefixes, those powers of 10, those are relating that particular prefix to the base unit, not to other prefixes. And don't think you can get away with putting, so this is micro, I'll put 10 to the negative 6 here. That's redundant. That is not how we make the conversion factors, right? So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go centimeters. Whenever I see this, whenever I have to go from, say, centimeters to micrometers or from one prefix to another, I always just take one extra step and go through the base unit. Let me get myself some more space here to do it. So it's 486. So I'm going to write it all down here. So 486 centimeters. I'm going to go centimeters to meters first. 1, 10 to the negative 2. It's important to realize, this power of 10 does not go in front of the prefix. That's redundant. Centi already means 10 to the negative 2. There's no reason to put 10 to the negative 2, 10 to the negative 2. Right? It goes up here. It doesn't go. It goes opposite. So then meters to micrometers. 1, 10 to the negative 6. Hopefully everybody followed that. And now what I'm going to do is I have my math. If you want to look at it, I can do this in my head. 486 times 10 to the negative 2 divided by 10 to the negative 6. Remember, if you have 10 to the x divided by 10 to the y, ooh, that did not mean for that to happen. So I get my behind back. There we go. If you have 10 to the x over 10 to the y, then that's the same as 10 to the x minus y. So this is the same as 486 times 10 to the negative 2 minus negative 6. What happens when we subtract a negative number? It's the same thing as adding it. So it's plus 6, right? So this is 486 times 10 to the negative 2 plus 6 is 4. But now we need to put it in proper scientific notation. I'm going to move this 1, 2 to the left. So it's 4.86 times 10 to the 6. Go ahead and try it in your calculator and make sure that I didn't screw anything up. So I just did this in my head as opposed to doing it in my calculator. That isn't to say you can't do it on your calculator. Feel free to do it in your calculator. It's just also, it's one of the nice things about the metric system is that it makes it easy to do in your head if you want to. So let's do a little practice. pause it and try to do these, and I'm going to work through these. So these first two are nice simple ones. The second one is a more compound one. Oh, it's literally the one I just did. So, well, let's do it anyway. So go ahead and pause it and work through these. So 935 micrometers is just a one-step conversion from micrometer, because I want it on the bottom, to meters. And so I get, what I end up getting is 356 times 10 to the negative 6. I just moved the decimal place 2 to the left. 9.35 times 10 to the negative 4. You cannot leave units in sort of half scientific notation. You need to either put them in decimal notation or scientific notation. This is not acceptable. The next one, 8.21 times 10 to the negative 3 liters. I want to convert to kiloliters. Liters goes on bottom, kiloliters on top. 1, 10 to the third. Right? 1 because that's the prefix, 10 to the third because that's the definition of kilo. So I get, so if you notice, this is 8.21 times 10 to the negative 3 divided by 10 to the third. So it's the same as 10 to the negative 3 minus 3. 8.21 times 10 to the negative 6 kiloliters. Kiloliters. And finally, 2522 centimeters. Centimeters, meters. You will eventually get to where you can do these this fast. And nanometers, 10 to the negative 9. I get 2.522 times 10 to the 10 nanometers. You can also make a pretty good guess about what the number should look like. Here, if you look, we're going from a small unit to a bigger unit, so the number should end up being smaller, 10 to the negative 4. Here we're going from a small unit to a bigger unit. Number should be smaller, right? More negative power of 10. Here we're going from a big unit to a smaller unit, the number is going to get bigger. So, okay, I think I've got just a couple more videos on dimensional analysis to work through.